In this lesson, we will learn a specific data selection using the limit clause. Limit helps in selecting or fetching the topmost rows within the selected results. Usually, limit helps in checking a sample of data based on your query. So let's see some examples. Let's consider the user activity table from a search query. Along with this problem, that is to get the first two records from the user activity. In the order records are stored in the table. Okay. So the table has 6 columns and 4 rows, which shows user ID, query ID, what is the query, pages showed, clicked, and engagement value. As per the problem, the meaning is the first 2 rows of a table should be the output. As shown, the highlighted rows, these should be the output. And this can be done easily with SQL using the limit clause. Let's go over the code. It says select star, which will select all the columns from user activity table limit 2. So what will limit 2 will do? Limit 2 will select only top 2 records in whatever order it is mentioned, and it will give you as the output. So let's now go to Metabase and execute our code. Let's first have a look at user activity table. Let's execute this query. And we got the desired result, which tells user ID, query ID, what is the query, page showed, clicked, engagement value, and date and time when it was recorded. So we have 4 rows over here. Now, what we want to do is, we want to fetch first 2 records of user activity. This is what we want to achieve, right? So let's see how to do this. Let's execute this and see, we got just 2 records over here, which are user ID 1 and user ID 2. So we are just getting top 2 records over here. Great. So we have been able to see how limit works. Here's another problem which says get rows 2 to 3 from user activity. Meaning these rows of a table, which you can see highlighted over here, should be the output. And this can be done easily by introducing an offset in the code. Let's go over the query. Select star, which will select all the columns from user activity. Limit 2, I want 2 rows. Offset 1 means skip the first row and then give the next 2 rows. That's what it tells you. So let's execute this query as well in Metabase. So what we have is get rows 2 to 3. So 2 to 3 means second and third row from user activity. It means we have to get 2 rows, but we have to skip the first row. Let's execute this and we got the relevant result, which shows 2 rows only, second and the third row with user ID 2 and 1 respectively. Let's try another problem over here. So what we want to see is get the first record after filtering the data from user activity where engagement value is at least 1. So let's break this problem down. This time we are dealing with a filter based on the condition that engagement value has to be at least 1. So which values of engagement are greater than or equal to 1? These ones, where engagement value is 2, 1 and 7. And the first record after filtering the data in the row associated is engagement 2, right? The row associated with engagement 2, this is the first record that will come as the output, or that should come as the output. Hence, this output is the solution to our problem. Can you figure out the code for this? This will be a good practice for you. So please pause the video and write the query. Then we will see if you have got this correct. Hope you got it right. Let's go over the query which says select star, selecting all the columns from user activity table where engagement value is greater than equal to 1. So we are filtering the data from user activity table where engagement value is greater than equal to 1. And then from there we want only the first row. That's why limit 1. So let's run this code also in Metabase. So what we want to get is get the first record after filtering the data from user activity where engagement value is at least 1. So let's execute this piece of code. And we got the relevant output. This is just one row which is having the engagement value greater than equal to 1, that is 2. Great. So now we will see one more problem with this data table, and the problem is order the user activity data by descending order of page showed, then return the first 2 rows. So first, let's sort in descending order the page showed value. Hence, it is the largest value of the page showed is 20, followed by 15, then 12, and finally 10. Finally, our output should only consist of the first 3 rows of the ordered data. Therefore, this is our final output. Can you figure out the code for this? Pause and write the code, then we will go over the code snippet together. Here's the code snippet which says select star, selecting all the columns from user activity. What we want is we want to sort in descending order, which column pages showed. So order by pages underscore showed descending, so that it is ordered in descending fashion. And we want the first 3 rows only. That's why limit 3. So let's go over to Metabase and write this code. So what we have to achieve is order the user activity table in descending order based on pages showed. Okay. And then return first 3 rows. So let's write this query. Let's execute this. And we got the output. We have only 3 rows. And if you see, pages showed is in sorted order. Right? The pages showed over here is in sorted order. All are 20 over here. So we don't have any other value, and these are in sorted order. Okay. So great. Let's proceed further. Now, since we have learned how your limit works, how we can select a specific data based on limit, now let's try out some examples using a larger data set. Let us consider our favorite table, that is employees detail, for our example. So as usual, first we will have a look at the table, that is employee details. So how to check that? Let's execute this. And you would be able to see 1,000 records of employees with the employee ID, first name, last name, email address, hire date, department, gender, salary, and region ID, right? You are quite familiar with the table, but still it is always a good practice to familiarize yourself with the table columns and some data so that it would be easy for you to solve this problem further. Now what we want to achieve it, we want to see the first 10 rows of this data set. So fetch first 10 rows of employees detail table, right? This is what we want to do. So how we will do that? Everything remains same. Select star from employees detail and limit 10. Fetch first 10 rows only. So if you execute, you will get only 10 rows, that is from employee ID 1 to 10, right? We got all the rows. So now, what if we want to fetch 10 rows, not from the beginning, but from the 21st row? In such a case, we can use the keyword offset. So what we want to do is, everything remains same. So let's copy this. Fetch fetch 10 rows, not first 10 rows, fetch 10 rows from employee detail table starting from 21st row. So what we have to do, everything remains same. Select star from employees detail, limit 10 because we want only 10 rows, but we have to skip first 20 rows. So that is offset 20, right? And let's execute this query. If you see, we got the output of 10 employees only starting from 21 till 30 and first 20 rows have been skipped. Great. So we have been able to see this with the larger table as well. Let's see some more queries. Okay. So suppose we want to fetch the employees working for department grocery, but want to just see the top 10 records. So how can we do that? For filtering the data, as usual, we will use a where clause, and for the number of records, we will use the limit keyword. So what we want to do is fetch top 10 records for employees working in grocery department, right? So of course, I want all the columns. So simple, select star. From which table? So what we will do, select star means select all records from employees detail table, right? But we have to filter the data. Where department is equals to which department? Grocery department, right? And from there, we need only 10 records. So limit 10. Let's execute this. And we got the output. If you see, all these people are working in grocery department, and if you will count, we got only 10 records over here. Only the first 10 records over here. Great. So we got the output. Now let's modify this query, okay? Now let's say I want to retrieve the last 10 records from my table. Can you think of any way we can achieve this? Let me show you how we can achieve this. First, we can order the table in descending order and then fetch the first 10 rows. So let's write the query to fetch the records. So what we want to do is fetch the last 10 records from employees detail table, right? This is what we want to do. First, I will just sort this and show you, okay? Order by employee ID. It is employee ID, right? Employee ID, and this should be in descending order. Then only the last would be on top. Let's execute this first. And you saw that 1000 is now the first row and employee ID 1 is the last row. So it means it is sorted based on employee ID. Now I want to fetch the 10 records from here. So what simple thing? Limit 10. And we are done. Let's execute this. It is just giving me 10 rows from 1000 till 991. But it is like the last rows only. How we have achieved it? Not directly, but indirectly. First, we sorted based on the employee ID in descending order and then got the top 10 records from there, which is nothing but equivalent to the last 10 records of your employee details table. To summarize, limit helps in selecting or fetching the topmost rows within the selected results. Usually, limit helps in checking a sample of data based on your query. So let's generalize the syntax. Select column name 1, column name 2 from table name, limit number and offset the number. So what it says is, we write our query as normal with the select statement referring to the data from a certain table. In the limit clause, we write limit, then specify the number that is used to get the certain amount of rows from our data. You can also use an offset and write a particular number if you want to retrieve rows after the specified number, or if you want to skip some of the rows and then start from the row after the skipped rows. So awesome. This concludes video on limit. In the next lesson, we will learn about the keyword distinct.